there's some of them are still there, though. So if you do hear anyone walking around, there are people still working upstairs sometimes.
So it's got that lawyer and accountant energy.
And taxes.
Lots of taxes.
Oh, man.
Sometimes they walk in here and they're like,
Oh, whoa.
where am I?
This isn't what I expected. So everyone, welcome. I'm at Claremont Yoga in lovely Claremont, California, joined by some very dear friends. And this place is very special to me because it is what kind of kicked my passion off for yoga, asana, and thanks to yoga teacher training in this lovely place, it introduced me to yoga philosophy, which changed my life. So as I mentioned in kind of the teaser for this, the topic is how yoga is part of a healing journey. And the big thing that yoga asana does, that's where we're going to start, is it's part of a system of training that helps us to feel safe in our bodies. And so let's start there. As Westerners, we really don't have a vocabulary for being embodied. Everything is about the mind, right? If you think about any type of magazine that you've read, it's like mindfulness, right? Oh, be mindful, be mindful. And we have this fascination with the brain, the actual structure, right, of neurons in the brain. But we almost over-romanticize neuroscience in the West, and we leave out the body. And what I mean by that is, what do we do if we have a really bad headache? Just answer the question. Take a Tylenol. And if one Tylenol is not working, what do we do then? Take 2 Tylenol. Exactly. Until you start taking several a day and your physician goes, hey, that's really bad for your kidneys and liver. Maybe you need to ease off of that. Whereas in the East, it's a question of what is the origin of the headache? Why do I have a headache? Not, oh, this is just an inconvenience, let me shut it down. So we are geared in the West to not get feedback from our bodies. As a matter of fact, we run from feedback from our bodies. It's cultural. It's something we don't even think about. And why do we run from our bodies? Many of us don't feel safe exploring our bodies. What do I mean by that? Subconsciously, it's just a little uncomfortable to sense into the places in us that feel a little off or a little unsafe or a little painful. And by painful, I mean uncomfortable. And so what we do is we find lots of distractions. Pain is not something we want to experience in the West. True? Discomfort is something we don't want to experience in the West. True? So just like we turn towards Tylenol when we're having a headache, what yoga does is it says, let's explore what's going on here. Let's try and figure out the genesis. What's the origin of this discomfort?
So kind of the root of the problem.
The root. That is a beautiful word.
Yeah.
The root. Right. Why keep trying to kill the plant by cutting the leaves when you can go to the root and you're done? And that's a beautiful Buddhist metaphor. Work at the root. Yeah. Okay, so I totally get why we don't want to get into the body, though, because we have not been trained how to do it safely. And safety is a huge part of investigating anything when it comes to us, our personal space. So let's imagine that we decide to explore something going on inside of us, like a knot in the stomach. It might bring up, memories? It might bring up sensations that aren't comfortable. And so what we do is we find distractions, we find ways to escape that. And yoga asana, meaning the poses that we do, is all about exploring what's going on. putting a little energy into whatever place is not comfortable for us. So in this book, I kind of, it follows my journey of how I like the term synchronicity, which is what Carl Jung uses, how the right piece of the puzzle seemed to fall into place just when I needed it. So I studied Buddhism extensively, and I learned a lot about the mind. So let's go there for just a brief moment. When I talk about the mind, I'm talking about the personal mind, which is all about our experiences throughout life that kind of create a repository of memories. Everything that's happened to us along the way creates this sense of who we are, and not only who we are, but how we interact with the world, okay? So that's the mind I'm talking about, the me, mine mind. Not the let's build a rocket ship mind, let's get creative. The impersonal mind, I'm talking about the personal mind, okay? So I learned a lot about that in Buddhism. And I studied extensively, and I was feeling pretty good about methods to, it's called the antidote. Like when I put a lot of energy into worrying, my mind would build that muscle of learning how to worry. Whereas when I put a lot of energy into learning to be calm, my mind would develop those pathways in being calm. And that's what Buddhism really helped me to explore, is how to get calm. However, I would sit for a few minutes in a meditation pose, and immediately these pains would start to come up, which, has anyone ever had that experience? You're trying to meditate, and all of a sudden you notice all the things in your body that aren't very happy that you're sitting and meditating. Maybe a pain in the knee, a pain in the back, your shoulders, like all of a sudden sensations turn on. And how productive is your meditation when you're totally focused on the pain in your body?
Not. It's not.
So I hit a wall with meditation, to put it mildly. And I wanted to go to these deeper states that everyone talks about, that's a great meditator. Oh, you get to this place where everything disappears and you dissolve into whole, this singularity or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, after 20 minutes, it's all about the pain in my knee, right? And so it just so turned out that I was at the right place in the right time, and I got the first taste of yoga asana, where, and this was the instruction I got. I was in a yoga class, and asana is the poses, and the instructor said, only move to the point where you're starting to feel discomfort, go no further. He also said, hey, if sitting with your legs crossed isn't comfortable for you, put the soles of your feet together and move your legs away from your body. I was like, oh, what? I have some agency in how I sit in meditation. I have some agency in how my body is arranged and how I feel. And yoga asana says, yes, absolutely. Work smarter, not harder. Don't try and power through the pain. Understand what your body is telling you. Become inquisitive. And by all means, if something is painful, don't do it. We have modifications in yoga asana. Don't push through. Don't try and look like the person next to you that has a completely different body and a completely different practice. So that was like mind blown. I was like, wait a minute. I don't have to sit like a stone Buddha in, a full lotus, which I can never do. That's not in my body can't do that. My knees won't allow it. And yoga asana says, not only is it okay, it is the inquiry that each of us must make to be comfortable in our bodies. Wow. And I never understood the word safety. I always tried to push through the pain, push through the pain, push through the pain. And yoga asana is all about going, no, why don't we explore the pain, meaning the discomfort, and only go as far as you start to feel the discomfort, and then if it's too much, back off of it. Oh, and by the way, when you find that edge, you're developing a brand new muscle, which is embodiment. You're feeling safe in your body. You're not pushing through past your comfort level. You're just getting to the edge. And by the way, for anyone who's ever stretched out a muscle, do you just go full bore, or do you have to kind of lean into it a little bit? Lean in a little bit, let it release. Lean in a little more, let it release. Yoga asana is that first step in understanding that all we have to do is just lean in a little bit and let it release. And we start to build safety with ourselves. We start to go, I trust you. I trust that you're not going to push me too far. I trust that we're going to explore this together. So that is where my meditation practice reinvigorated was I started to feel comfortable enough in my body by practicing yoga asana to work out those kinks, to find those uncomfortable places, and to become inquisitive about them instead of trying to just push through. So, interesting, right, so far? Okay, well, it turns out yoga asana is actually the least interesting part of yoga philosophy. So, and that's not to offend anyone in the West, but as we start to reconnect the body and the mind, we learn that we're getting lots of information from the body that we used to just kill with 2 Tylenol or 3 Tylenol or a martini, right? So, as we start to feel comfortable in the body, we can start to explore what's going on in the mind. And here's the big spoiler alert for the folks in the West. It's one. It's not the brain and the body. If I cut off my head, how's my life going to go? Right? If I throw my body away and just let my brain run the show, how's my life? It's a feedback loop, right? It's a constant feedback loop. So we start to explore the entire experience of being human, which also includes everything that our mind is up to. But now we can start to do it maybe a little more safely because we've given ourselves permission to go slowly, only go to the edge, and then back off when it gets too intense. Okay? So I gave you a little teaser about this whole the asana being kind of the least important part of yoga philosophy, and that's a big statement. Asana is very important, but because I took teacher training, yoga teacher training, then I started to get into all of these other things, these mystical things, not so mystical. They're mystical in the West, but in the East, they're like, oh yeah, we do that all the time, not a big deal. But I started learning that there are energy centers in the body, and that we have patterns that we store that become blockages. And as a scientist, there was no vocabulary for this in Western science. We don't talk about energy blockages. And for the scientists out there, lots of information has been gathered along the way in Eastern wisdom traditions about this, and now researchers are starting to do actual experiments with this type of information, but it's kind of shunned in the West. What do I mean by blockages? Okay, there is we talked about discomfort in the body. Is there some topic or something that happened in the past that you don't want to think about or talk about? Something that happened?
Personal? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Well, I'm confronted with it every time I do yoga,
Mhm.
breath work. Yeah.
So you're-
life-threatening stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is, in yoga philosophy, this term has a word. It's called a samskara. And what a samskara is, it's an actual blockage in our energy body when something has happened in our external world, maybe in our internal world, that was overwhelming to the nervous system. So we couldn't process it, and we tucked it away. What do I mean by tucked it away? We didn't forget about it. The nervous system has remembered it. The nervous system knows it's there. And in the realm of trauma research, it's understood now, and I'm not saying that it has to be trauma related, but the brain can very creatively fragment a memory that is too intense for us to process. But that memory is stored in the tissue of the body. So these blockages, these samskaras, are what we're working on when we are working with the body-mind. We're not looking at the mind in isolation. We're looking out at how there's a feedback system between body and mind that's giving us information. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's new to many people in the West. And that is where yoga philosophy comes in to help us understand that until we work as an embodied person, meaning we're paying attention to the sensations in the body, we're paying attention to the types of emotions that come up, the types of memories that can occur out of the blue. We're not noticing that the body-mind is telling us that there is a samskara that we need to work with. So why does this matter? Let's go back to the 2 Tylenol. We don't have the opportunity to work at this level, at an embodied level, when we just keep deadening the pain. Deaden the pain, hope it goes away. Deaden the pain, hope it goes away. It actually turns into a whole behavior pattern of, we don't talk about that. I'm not going to think about that. If I start to feel weird, I'm going to have to do something about it. What do we do when we feel weird? Go shop online, go see a movie.
Get distracted.
Get out of there. Let's run. We don't want to deal with this. But until we deal with it, it's going to continue to build, and our behavior patterns shift to try and protect that part of us. So it's a choice. Once you understand that these blockages are real, these samskaras, and that there is a way to work through them, which is not, here we go back to yoga asana, which is not unlike yoga asana. We relax and we release. When we notice a sensation coming up, or a memory coming up, or a discomfort coming up, we realize that it is part of an old memory that's in the body-mind. And I'm speaking of this unified being that we can either run from, continue to distract ourselves, or we can work through it. Because once we're safe, we can explore those places and let them release. So things that happened in the past that were maybe too intense for us to deal with, we can gently lean into, we can experience them. And if it becomes too intense, we can back off. We don't have to, this isn't exposure therapy. It's more of an inquiry. Lean into it, ask questions. So what might this look like? When I'm doing yoga asana, one of the things that I like to do is notice what sensations come up, and then, as I said, try and gently lean into them. And it's a really cool practice when you're focused on the body and you're breathing. Breathing is a big part of asana. But what if you're sitting at the kitchen table, maybe eating a bowl of cereal, and all of a sudden a sensation comes up? Have you ever had that experience? Like, what the hell is that? Mm-hmm. Same practice. What is this? Inquisitive, safety. What is the body-mind trying to tell me right now? And that's how we start to explore the patterns, our behaviors, is we take this asana practice into life and we notice what sensations are coming up. And we realize that the body-mind is trying to communicate with us. And we allow it to express itself. Maybe there is something going on there. Maybe it is something that is, I don't want to say from childhood, but just some unexplored habit pattern, like I'm worried. I worry a lot. Or I'm a perfectionist. Look at me. I'm not enjoying breakfast. Here we go back to mindfulness and how hard mindfulness is. When we're eating cereal, do we ever just eat cereal, or is our mind worrying about 1,000,000 things at the same time, right? So this exploration is what becomes possible when you start working through samskaras safely. And back to the whole yoga philosophy thing, the end goal, the ultimate expression is to merge with the, Alan Watts calls it the one great energy we have no name for. You can call it the universal spirit or the cosmos or God or Brahma, whatever. But what if we are divine? And what if that is available to us? If we could find the confidence to relax and explore that space as well. And that's maybe a bridge too far for some people, but that is what keeps me engaged with yoga philosophy. Is it's like, wow, you mean some people actually get to a place where they are so comfortable in their bodies, in their minds, that they can just relax into being alive in this moment and not be wanting for anything, but just have like an inner peace. That sounds like heaven to me. That sounds like heaven to me.
It sounds very heavenly.
And that is the promise of this system of training that doesn't happen overnight. It takes slow, patient, steady exploration. And we have to get past that first hurdle, which is the discomfort, because the discomfort keeps us from moving into these places where we can experience that type of peace.
I think there's probably also times of a taste of it.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
where you get that taste and it's like, whoa, this is very tasty but scary. Yeah.
I love that.
And I think that's what yoga does sometimes. It's like, whoa, I can do this. Oh. And then it's like, oh.
I love the word scary. Isn't part of being an explorer having a little bit of fear? Something new, something different?
Yeah, I think that's what moves us forward. Yeah.
It's the unknown, and the unknown is scary. Yeah. So, do you have a comment?
No, I just said yes.
Yeah, the unknown is scary. So what I'd like to do is read a little bit from this book. All right. So I am in Where the Magic Happens, and I'm in Chapter 11, Yoga. And the quote is from BKS Iyengar. Yoga is union of body with the mind and the mind with the soul. That's one of my favorite quotes. So, slow medicine. I wish I could tell you about how excited I was to continue this practice after my first yoga class, but that would be a lie. I had little flexibility in body or mind. It appeared that the people around me could move effortlessly into the next asana while looking graceful and steady. This was the first challenge yoga brought to me. I had to learn to focus on my own progress rather than comparing myself to those around me. I did continue to experiment and try different types of yoga taught by different instructors. I noticed that each instructor would give directions on how to breathe, when to inhale and exhale with each movement. Apparently, this was an important detail. In the beginning, breathing as instructed with the appropriate movement was completely beyond my ability. My mind raced with endless thoughts ranging from self-criticism to judgments of others in the class to what I was having for lunch, and the occasional punctuation of, boy, this is painful, and I will never be any good at this. I would notice a pain in my knee, put all of my attention on this pain, and then realize that I was holding my breath. After a few moments, I would remember to breathe and then have a distressing thought about a past event and then realize that I was holding my breath again. Fortunately, I did hear the instructor ask that we be patient with ourselves and trust that with continued practice, each one of us had the potential to progress on the path of yoga. Day after day, week after week, this is exactly what happened. It may appear that yoga asana is all about the body, but in fact, it is a constant exploration of the connection between body, mind, and breath. Certain poses may appear beyond our ability, but as we patiently stretch the fascia, connective tissue within the body, we explore how to gently move into discomfort by utilizing the breath as a vehicle for release. What are we releasing? This will differ from person to person. Sometimes it is just the tension of the day. For others, it may be subconscious patterns of survival, such as the act of tensing muscles in anticipation of a harmful event. Similarly, we may subconsciously hold our breath in anticipation of potential disaster. Have you noticed how your breathing changes when you are about to have an unpleasant conversation or open a distressing email? Just as we build awareness of our subconscious thought processes through meditation, we build awareness of our subconscious somatic processes through yoga asana. Through this process of exploration, breathing, and releasing, we can begin to experience greater peace in the body-mind. All right, so
That's how far I got today.
oh, wow. Well, I don't think that was by accident. So, is yoga asana the only way to have this type of release? No, it's not. There are many different ways to get in touch with the body and see where these samskaras are, where these blockages are. Tai Chi, but there needs to be some way to move the body, to notice what's happening in the body, and also to start to move energy around. And the challenge in the West is we don't even know that we have differences in energy. And so we don't know that we can manage that energy. Like when we're feeling lethargic, we could go for a walk, or we could take a few deep breaths. There are ways that we can mechanically change the energy within our body. When we're feeling kind of over the top, there's too much energy in our system, we can tense and release the muscles. We can do some breathing to try and balance our nervous system. And this is where we're going to go next. And finally, to bring this all together, is without an awareness that we are a dynamic being, we can't begin to work on our inner world. We're not the same every day. Some days we're happy, some days we're sad. And by the way, do we need an external anything going on in the outside to wake up happy or sad, or does it just happen?
I think it's within. I mean,
So if it's not external, where should we be working? Inside.
Yeah.
Great answer.
Yeah, there's days where I got no answer for why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling.
You're human.
Yeah.
And we have these very complex lives, and everything that we've experienced in our life is part of our reality. All of it. And we're also different. So let's talk briefly about the nervous system. What is the goal in understanding that we have some agency in our nervous system? Well, it's so that we can start to take the appropriate action to manage whatever's going on inside. And the first part of this book, I talk about there are very simple practices that we can do to balance our nervous system when it's out of balance. And if you don't know what life looks like when your nervous system's out of balance, would you like me to give you a couple of examples?
Sure.
You wake up, you're late, the coffee machine isn't working. I need coffee before I get in my car. What the hell? You yell at your kids, you spill everything. Are you in a balanced nervous system right now? Negative. Negative. That is what we call fight or flight. That is a sympathetic nervous system response. It is saying, and it's very primitive. It's brain stem stuff. It says, "Hey Jack, we need to get out of here. You're late. I don't care, But let's ask the question, how productive is life when you're behaving in that zone, in that sympathetic arousal? Do you make mistakes?
It can actually be dangerous.
It can be very dangerous, yes. Okay.
Others don't like it.
No. Well, I mean, because I love that you're saying that. And what Lori said is others don't like it. And it's because we are social animals and we read each other's nervous systems. If you are in a space with someone who is dysregulated, you start to feel it as well. And so that is also a superpower to go, oh my gosh, this person is having a meltdown. Maybe I'm going to go outside now. And it is our responsibility to be able to manage our own nervous systems. I mean, when you're 3 or 4 years old, you have an excuse. When you're in your 30s or 40s, it's time to do some work, okay? So back to this whole nervous system business. Until we understand that there are going to be things that happen that can activate our nervous system. So we talked about fight or flight, and then we've got freeze too. Freeze is a very real, that's a parasympathetic response. That is when our body goes, I got nothing here. I just need to lay down. I'm done, right? And there are kind of two different ways to deal with external circumstances, but as you folks just told me, internal circumstances can create that as well. Worrying about something that could happen or go wrong, that can trigger that sympathetic arousal, that fight or flight, or parasympathetic, the freeze response. So there is a lovely organization in Claremont. It's called the Trauma Resource Institute, and I studied with the founder, and one of the things that they teach is, guess what? You can work on this and you can actually widen that zone where you stay in balance. And it's called the zone of resilience. So if you've ever met someone who just flies off the handle, everything is too much for them. You ever met anyone like that? Slightest thing. Oh my God, I can't believe this. That's a narrow zone of resilience. Because it doesn't take much to pop them into fight or flight or freeze. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. But if we practice balancing our nervous system, we can actually widen that zone of resilience. Isn't that wonderful news?
Yeah.
How do we do this? First of all, we have to catch ourselves when we're dysregulated. Mm-hmm. And then second, we have to have some tools. And there are very simple tools, and I'll give you my favorite one, breath counting. So what does the breath do? When we slow down when you were a kid, did you ever try and make yourself pass out?
Yes.
How do you do that?
Puff and then have your friends
Yeah,
squeeze air out of
you breathe very shallowly and very quickly. Very shallowly and very quickly. What happens when you're about to open an email that you don't want to open?
That same feeling happens.
Same breathing.
Yeah.
So
Just shallow breathing.
our breath is a direct conduit to our nervous system. And what I'm telling you is if you can slow down your breathing, you're telling your nervous system, let's balance out the blood gases here. Let's engage that parasympathetic nervous system. You have agency over your nervous system through breathing. You breathe shallowly, you're telling your nervous system, this is really bad. Oh my God, this is so bad. Let's get ready. You slow down your breathing, you're telling your nervous system, it's okay, we can handle this. Relax and release. We can handle this. And thanks to neuroplasticity, what we practice, we get good at. So how do we widen that zone of resilience? We got to practice. We got to catch ourselves, and we have to know what to do when we're dysregulated. How cool is that? Why am I telling you this? Because as we begin to move into these places of discomfort, whether it's while eating a bowl of cereal or on your yoga mat, it's good to have that toolkit. It's good to go, I notice I'm breathing shallow. I notice there's some sensation coming up. I don't like this. Slow down your breathing. Slow down your breathing. Back off of it. If it's a distressing sensation, back off of it. If it's a distressing thought, back off of it. That's where it's tricky though, because has there ever been anything you're thinking about that's so sticky you can't back off of it? Like you just can't stop thinking about this one thing. They call that a sticky thought in psychology, which is why we have to practice meditation.
So you gotta get stuff.
We have to practice letting go of thoughts.
Right.
We have to practice letting go of thoughts, which is the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. Because I love, like a dog on a bone, that thought. I need to think about this until I figure it out. What am I doing to my nervous system? This is not widening my zone of resilience. So are we getting the connection? It's all connected. The thoughts, the sensations, the emotions, the breath. But good news, we can work with the body-mind intelligently, and we can practice all of these wisdom traditions that tell us we need to work with the mind. We need to work with the body. We need to integrate the body and the mind and listen to what it's telling us, because our body is a very critical part of this exploration. And until we get brave enough to start listening to the body, we can't work through those samskaras. We can't release those emotional blockages, those memories of the past. So that is where yoga philosophy is, where Western science could really benefit, understanding this mind-body connection. And maybe someday we will get over our fascination with neuroscience and the brain being all powerful and go, there's a lot going on in this system that if we work on it as a system, we might actually be able to move through these blockages, build our zone of resilience, and start feeling comfortable in our skin.
So, by building the zone of resilience, then you're working towards decreasing all of the personal, your own inner suffering,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
So, always trying to have that awareness of what's coming up, whether you're in an asana or whether you're eating a bowl of cereal.
Absolutely. And that is the bravest thing anyone can do, is that self-exploration. And it's brave. I call it the warrior's path. Well, I don't uniquely call it that. Trungpa Rinpoche calls it that. I mean, it's in Buddhism, it's everywhere. I mean, the samurai in Japan, they trained body and mind so they could be more efficient on the battlefield. Because if you don't have control of this, when someone's charging towards you with a sword as long as they are, you're done, right? But I think the metaphor, the archetype of the warrior is what is so exciting about this, because we each have this capacity within us if we're brave enough to explore it, if we're brave enough to embark upon this journey of looking into ourselves and uncovering these things that we've been trying to shove away. We don't want to look at them. We don't want to talk about them. We've created elaborate rituals to not deal with them. But they're the things that are festering inside of us that keep us stuck in maybe antiquated behavior patterns. Yeah.
My experience is that it's not like an even path.
Absolutely.
It's like, and it also depends on how much time you have to do the self-exploration, to do the practice. And when I lived in Sedona, everything was just really moving very nicely because my life was steady. And then 3 years ago, when I said, we just decided we're going to move to Claremont. And so I had to move twice. When we lived in an apartment for 11 months, I had no personal space. And everything was kind of like uprooted. And so so the old stuff started happening. And
So the comment is basically life gets in the way of this exploration in this practice.
And you have to kind of always return to it and not really get frustrated with yourself.
And the comment is you have to return and not get frustrated with yourself.
Yes,
I love that.
And the beginner's mind.
Beginner's mind is so lovely. Yeah. Would you like to explain to us what beginner's mind is?
It means that every experience, everything you do, every meditation, every practice, looking at it as if you were doing it for the first time and not having any expectations.
I love that. Yeah. Looking through a child's eyes. Everything's brand new. Instead of bringing our baggage onto everything.
Yeah.
Well, I love it. I love your comment. And the comment was basically, life gets hectic and life gets in the way. And I have a friend who decided to become a monk because he wanted to go and devote his time to studying full time. And so he went to India and joined a monastery. And as a Westerner, they're like, well, you speak English, so we're going to put you on a tour bus with the other monks, and you're going to drive all over the United States teaching the Dharma. And he's like, I never got a moment's rest as a monk. So life is the practice. Life is the practice. And I've heard this from other monastics. It's like, if you think that life is going to go easy once you join a monastery, there are jerks in a monastery. There are people that don't pull their weight. There are people that snore. There are people that chew with their mouth open. It's like, but what is the common denominator? The mind. We bring our judgments into everything. Why does she have to eat with her mouth open? Oh my God, I'm trying to meditate. So that is the practice. It's going, oh, look at my mind doing what it does, which is being dissatisfied no matter what's going on. And that is suffering. That suffering is when we don't notice our own habit patterns that are polluting our experience.
Lately I've been starting this new thing where I see people and they're bothering me. Before I'd be saying, what's their problem? I'm starting to say, what's my problem? Why is they're having a meal?
That's right.
Why is it my problem now?
I love it.
That was my favorite. What's your problem?
Yeah. And that is...
Now it's like, what's my problem?
That is the practice, is turning it all around and going, Why is my zone of resilience like this? Should someone smacking their food really send me into fight or flight, or do I have some work to do? So that's the practice. But now we see how it's so much more than just meditation, because we embody these blockages, these patterns, I don't like it when people smack. My uncle used to smack and I hated him. He was a weirdo. So now everyone who smacks is a weirdo. That's how these habit patterns carry forward and destroy our own serenity. So it's a tremendous exploration. All right, so we need to wrap it up, but I wanted to ask if there were any other questions before I kind of close this out. I love the rich discussion here tonight.
So how do you apply the principles of Zen Buddhists to your practice today?
That's such a great question. I believe that we need a system of study to give us a chance at serenity. We need, in yoga, we have the yamas and niyamas. The external way to deal with life appropriately and the internal way. In Buddhism, we have the precepts. So in Buddhism, let's go with, I mentioned this last time I recorded myself, Shila, Samadhi, and Prajna. Without morality, you can't get to self-management. If you're going out in the world and blowing up the world, if you're a dishonest person, if you're creating chaos, if you're not living, a kind life, good luck finding any type of inner peace. So I believe that a formal system of study that creates harmony within ourselves and within the world is very important. And I'm not going to talk about, religion or anything like that, but it's more, in Eastern philosophy, they're called the laws. The laws of life are, if you're a nice person, people are nice back to you. If you're a decent business person, people will do business with you. We've kind of lost that thread in the West, or at least in the United States. So the training is, do what we're told.
Yeah.
And
kind of like what you learned in kindergarten, right?
Golden rule.
Yeah. Say please and thank you and be kind.
And
share.
Absolutely.
Share.
Share your toys. And another thing that's really powerful is this is kind of yesterday was a holy occasion in Vedanta, in Hinduism, called Guru Purnam, where you give thanks and you give grace to whoever your divine teacher is. And I have a couple, but to bring this to a practice that I'm doing that is very difficult for me, but I'm doing it because my guru says so. My root teacher is His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And he says, you got to love everybody. And so I can't pick and choose what I'm going to do. I have to do what these philosophical trainings teach me. So my biggest practice is everyone that I don't agree with right now, I have to love them, because that's what my teacher told me to do. And he's right. When I wake up and I fill my heart with rage and anger, it's a crummy day. And when I wake up and go, there's Buddha nature in everyone on this planet, they're just lost right now. They need help finding their way back to kindness and civility and humanity. And I pray for them. Then it gives me hope, and it also makes my day go a lot better. Is it easy? Oh, no.
But it changes the way kind of the chest feels inside.
Yeah.
It's a lightness.
So that is what these Eastern philosophical traditions can teach us as Westerners is how to have that inner peace, doing things that are completely contrary to what we're taught in this hemisphere. You know, rage and hatred is kind of a big deal right now. Division is a big deal right now. But, you know, you look at any of the Eastern teachers, any of the Babas, what did they say? Love everyone, feed everyone, serve everyone. I mean, the message is the same. And if Christianity is your thing, what did Jesus Christ say? Love everyone, serve everyone. So we can't just cherry pick what these philosophies teach us. We have to embrace all of it, even the uncomfortable places, if we want to grow. What a great question. Thank you, Lori. Any other questions? Wow, we went deep on that one. But what's the end goal? Seriously, that's something we all have to answer for ourselves. For me, it's widening that zone of resilience and working through these places in my body mind that are keeping me stuck in suffering. I want to let them go. And so that's an inside job. And that's empowering to know that it's my work. The world is going to do what the world does. Politics are going to do what they do, and I'm not minimizing what's going on in the world. It's there, but this is our planet. It's always been this way. And I can get lost in that, or I can try and do whatever I can right here with the tools I have, and try and make this little area that's my world a nicer place for me and a nicer place for anyone that I interact with. And that's all I got. It's all I got. Right? So, and that's a lot. It's very powerful to be able to change your environment just by walking in a room and smiling instead of walking in a room and blowing up at people. Wow.
Asking what's your problem.
Yeah, what's your problem? So good. Any other questions or comments?
This is great work, and what
I'm excited to read it, that's for
realized
sure.
with reading it, how much new, how many new publications there are, or yeah.
I think the environment is right for this type of work. I think that especially in the United States, people are noticing that what they're doing isn't working, and they're looking for new solutions, and that's very exciting.
Yes.
It's very exciting.
Or even if you do work with people, with others, or for myself, I'm always looking at how can I make it better for that
I love
person.
that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
It's like, what do I need to do here, to make it better for the people I interact with?
So Lori just pointed to her
Receiving.
heart, and
Yeah.
that is a big deal. The heart.
Yeah.
It's a different way of relating to the world, and it's
Yeah.
not easy to explain. So
So,
let's and I don't want to go too deep into this, but we value, again, in the West, we're all about the brain and the mind. And in Eastern philosophy, it's all about the heart. And when my root teacher, His Holiness, he uses the word mind, but he points here. He's like, we have to have a kinder mind. So I really believe, just based upon little observations like that, and of course in Mandarin, Xin is both heart and mind. It's the same character. And what these Eastern teachers are saying is, it's not about that personal mind, all those experiences. It's about starting to work from here instead. It's about opening your heart and thinking, if that's the way I can put it, I'm sorry if that's confusing, thinking with your heart, how can I be loving? How can I be kind? Instead of what's in it for me, the mind, right? And so, yeah, pay attention to that. If you're ever reading some Eastern philosophy, and there's a great word in Buddhism, bodhicitta, which is awakened mind, but they also translate it as awakened heart, which means we're opening our heart to people instead of mentally judging them and putting them into boxes and what's wrong with you? Yeah. All right. So it's 8:30. Thank you so much, Tracy, for having me. This is such a lovely gathering, and thank you to the folks online for joining us. And I hope that this was beneficial. If you have any questions, reach out to me, and likewise online. And we'll we'll close with that. So have a good night.
Thank you. Uncle.